ReThink is a first-person puzzle game available for $9.99, but the real question is, should you buy it? Game description reads, as an inmate of a government-controlled correctional facility in the year 2275, you have the right to prove yourself worthy of being part of society again. Show your skills in logical thinking by solving about 60 puzzles of varying size, type, and difficulty in 40 rooms in this first-person puzzle game, and redeem your freedom. Let me just get some quick ones out of the way first, starting with the story. What you heard in the game description is the whole thing, really. There's nothing else to learn about the game's story besides maybe 3 or 4 data pads that lie around on the ground. But they're super small, and they're very hard to read, so I have zoomed in on the screen for you to be able to read them, at least. Like they mentioned, you're fighting for your freedom, so you have to collect these extra cubes lying around throughout the levels, and if you get 4 out of 6 total, you're able to be free. If not, you're stuck back in prison forever, but it doesn't really matter because there's no ending cutscene, there's nothing there, you just get sent right back to the main menu. I mean, even the ReThink project had an ending cutscene. How crappy it might have been, which you could obviously tell it was the player camera controlling it, it was still an ending cutscene. And this has nothing. Next up, there's no music in this game either. It's less than the ReThink project, if you can believe that. Most of the time you won't even hear the faint droning soundtrack and you're left in silence. Replayability? No. No. The options menu. This is a buggy mess. I couldn't even change the resolution without it crashing, so I was stuck on 1280 by 720 the whole time, even though I run 1920 by 1080. For some reason the recommended graphics card is a GTX 970, that's what I use anyways. I couldn't even hit 60 frames per second with this. It's terribly optimized. I don't even want to try to imagine what Epic and Overkill look like. It must be truly mind-blowing. Honestly, this game looks like you could run it on an Xbox 360 if you optimized it. But hey, at least there's an FOV slider and a colorblind setting, so that's always nice. So now that we got the small things out of the way, let's get on to the gameplay, which revolves around 5 things. Don't worry, none of them are walking. Walking has nothing to do with this. It's fine, you have a sprint button, you're all good. Number 1, you'll be using cubes to redirect red, green, and blue lasers into their respective colored catchers, or you'll be mixing them together for cyan, magenta, or white. There are 3 variants to the cubes you will come across, one that redirects the lasers at a 90-degree angle, one that splits the lasers into 2, or one cube that splits them into 3. All can be placed in pre-selected slots around the map, and a simple scroll of the mouse wheel rotates them. Number 2, these little cubes that are used for platforming. Let me tell you, the platforming in this game is terrible. The jumping is very clunky and stiff, and sadly it takes over the game about puzzle 11 onward, so much that it felt like a different game at certain points. Number 3, color switching. You don't really know when this is going to be used, but you have to switch between red and blue, the whole map color, by clicking the scroll wheel. This allows you to walk on red or blue platforms. Keep in mind, depending on what color the map is, that's what color the cubes will be whenever you place them. The little ones that you parkour on, not the big ones that redirect the lasers. Number 4, these pointless spheres that feel ripped straight from cube. They add nothing to the game, really. You just switch the color of the room and let them roll across the platforms to get where they need to go, and that's about it. Number 5, the last and most annoying thing in this game. There's these squares that are placed around the map, and you must walk on them one by one till they're all lit up. But don't walk on it again, because they will all deactivate, and you have to go back all over and walk on them again and again and again. It's so frustrating when parkour is involved. I can't tell you how annoyed I got. I spent 15 minutes on certain things that should have took 5 minutes if the jumping was properly done in this game. And here's the catch to that. This is where the green cubes come into play, because most of the puzzles to get the green cubes revolve around walking on those panels, and it is so frustrating. Now I ended up with 5 out of the 6, so I don't really know where the last one was. I might have missed one or skipped one, because I did cheat a puzzle or 2 along the way. And at first you had to follow a certain pattern, and it made sense. But about halfway through the game, it looks like you just gave up and just started placing them randomly around the map, and it became very frustrating. So the final score, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Originally, I was going to give it a 5 out of 10, and I was sitting here doing the review, and I was like, you know, this really sucks. Let me bump it down a point. The main reason I was going to give it a 5 is because the first 10 levels, there was so much potential there to make a decent puzzle game if you just stuck with that concept and build off of it instead of adding other pointless little things like parkour, the spheres, the walking tiles. I mean, you could redo the tiles in a way that it works in the game, but I say that's the thing you could salvage out of the other elements that suck. So obviously it gets a thumbs down, and I would not buy this at $9.99. Get it on the bargain bin about $5 or lower, and it's only about 4 hours to complete, so I'd say $5 for 4 hours isn't the worst thing you could spend time with. So with that, I'm done for today. And here are some other series I'm working on. First, I have Planet Coaster, which is one of the most fun things I've been doing ever since I started the channel. I can't get enough of that game. It is so fun sitting there creating. Next up is City Skylines. Sadly, that is coming to an end soon, but I have put a lot of love and care into that city, and I'm proud of how it turned out. Coming in at third, we have my playthrough of ReThink. That was a roller coaster of emotions with them introducing new elements every 10 fucking puzzles. I don't know why they did that. It's terrible. And lastly, you should click on that little V because it'd be nice. I mean, you don't have to, but it would be a nice gesture. But thanks for watching, and until next time.